I repeat that, yeah. Chapter 9, which is on the bad debt, ignore. That is not included in the syllabus. And then we move on to chapter 10. For chapter 10, this are, the illustration on page 140, page 141, illustration for the statement of profit or loss and the statement of financial position. Please follow through the example. And on page 142, page 143, these are tips for preparing the financial statement. So try to get some past year question. And before you start, please go through the tips here and do that on your own. But as I said just now, preferably at the very beginning, maybe you can um, do this in group. You do this in group so that you can learn from one another. If once you are very sure, then you can do this on your own. You can repeat so many times here, preparing the financial statements until that you are very confident. Then after you are confident, you have to time yourself. Usually for each of the for for this kind of question, we will give you about 40 minutes. 40 minutes, it means that you have to do about 50 minutes for each one. 50 minutes for the statement of profit or loss, and about 50 minutes for the statement of financial position. The other 10 minutes, I said 40 minutes, but 30 minutes preparing. The other 10 minutes is for you to read the question and for you to do the calculation. Yes. Okay, remember again that this is important, yeah. This is compulsory, yeah. Question on financial statement, preparing financial statement, preparation of the financial statements are compulsory. But on page 139, the use of the spreadsheet tool, this is just to show to you. You don't do this, yeah. You don't do this in the financial examination. Right. So this chapter 10 is actually, um, telling you how to do the accounts. Yeah. Right. So I have I have given you the tips, just follow the tips. Whatever in the example given here, like example 10.2, you can do this. You can follow this, but not in the examination, because by doing this, it will take so much of your time. When you prepare something like this as example 10.2 on page 149, this can be about 1 hour question. So we don't advise students to do as in the example 10.2. So similarly, in the example in the on page 150 and page 151. Okay. Right. Right. So that's for chapter 10. Okay. The exercises at the back, you can work this out with your friends. Okay, chapter 11, just go through this. Is actually introduction to you about how to prepare based on the standard. So if you go through page 161, yeah, page 162 and page 1, page 159, 160 and page 161, these are the example of accounts where you have to follow the accounting standard. Okay, page 162, elements of financial statement. This is to explain to you what the elements in the financial statements are. Actually, this one should be at the very beginning, yeah, first chapter, but I relate this to this chapter. So maybe in my second revision of the book, second edition of the book, I'm going to change this to bring this to the first chapter. Yeah. So go through again. This is actually theory. Now you have to read this because sometimes we can ask you about this, but it's not going to be a very straightforward answer lah. What is current asset? It's not going to be like that. Yeah, it's not going to be explained what is liability, etc. Okay. So it will be in another form. How that will be could be, could be maybe application lah. Yeah, the application. So please make sure that you understand. Yeah, read through and understand. Asset, what is asset? How asset can is going to be categorized? Blah blah blah. Okay, so let's move on now to the bank reconciliation. Yeah, bank reconciliation. This is chapter 12. So we are about to finish. Yeah, we are about to finish already. Chapter 12. Then we have the chapter 13, and then we have chapter 14. Yeah. Okay, what is bank reconciliation?